not muscle, these types of things. Then you're now at a stage where you can make an educated decision. Just realize, even if you take it safer, okay, there can be some complications. Don't think that just because you're taking, 500 millis to a gram a week and no more, that you're going to be safe, right? Because the doctor recommendation is still only 100 to 200 millis every 7 to 10 days, sometimes every 14 days, okay? And if it's more than that, if it's 400 millis or above, right, it's because it's all in one day. So the 200 to 400 sometimes will be once a month, right? So those are the way that I want to blatantly, honestly tell you that realistically, medically versus for performance enhancing, because this is geared toward athletes here, not for the civilian. Jack did the civilian one, this morning. This one's for the Lions. This one's for the guys that are gonna get up on stage against freaks that have 21, 22, 23 inch arms. Most people over 20 inches, right? Is that the level you want to compete at, right? Are you taking it to that next level? Are you doing the non-tested shows? You're getting your butt kicked because you're clean, right? And if you're clean, and that's the case, but you think you can win at the natural levels, you might want to try that first, man. Because once you cross this line, you ain't going back to those natural shows, almost guaranteed. You got like a 90% to a 99% chance that you won't be competing clean anymore. You'll be competing non-tested for the rest of your sports career life, right? As an athlete. Because once you get up to say naturally you can get a 400-pound bench press, okay? But on juice you get 400 or 500 or 600, okay? You're not going to want to do a 400-pound bench press anymore, right? And if you can't hold that 500 or 600, with PCT and stuff, you may be able to, but now maybe you don't look as good as when you did it before. See what I mean? So there's always a give or a take somewhere, somehow, right? Usually. So when you're in competition against yourself as well, it's going to be hard to go backwards, right? That's my point here, okay? I've seen it with so many athletes and even civilians. It's not even funny, okay? So remember that too, because that's a big deal, okay? Even people who have taken the smaller dosages, like a gram, and you guys are probably saying, fucking, what are you talking about? You shut up. You get people hurt. No, I'm telling you this because there's a lot of shit going around right now on Instagram, on YouTube, claiming that these athletes are taking 2 to 5 grams a week. And I don't know where y'all are getting your research from. Believe in any knucklehead that puts a camera on, right? Lee Priest didn't take anything. He was almost natural. He took between 400 and 800 millis a week. And that's everything combined, right? It's not just one thing, and then another thing was this, and another thing was that, right? This is all combined, 400 to 800 millis, all 2 to 3 things that he was taking, okay? So, it doesn't even count, right? He was still natural, just wasn't natural enough to do the natural shows, but a beast, and that's why he got accused of taking everything under the fucking sun, right? But you gotta look at things, longevity in the sport. Are these guys still competing or working out regularly and still look good, right? Or are they, like some of these poor guys who were over 300 pounds at one time now on kidney dialysis, okay? And I don't want to throw any great athletes under the bus, but I got one in mind right now. He weighs, if he's 170 pounds, soaking wet, that's huge for him right now. He looks like he hasn't lifted ever before, and it's not his fault. I mean, his kidneys are shot, okay? He's on kidney dialysis. Well, these are the health problems because he overdid the gear, right? These shooting stars that we have in our industry, in our fitness industry and bodybuilding, things like that, it's usually because they overdo it, okay? And so, why not be a champion who is, always top 10 and right in there, can still be, the Mr. Olympian, this and that, if you're at that level, okay? And if you're not at that level with low gear, don't think that you're going to be at that level with high gear, okay? I'm not at that level for a reason. My genetics are good, right? But they're not fucking Phil Heath good, Arnold Schwarzenegger good, Kai Green good. Does that ring a bell? Does that make sense? Okay, so you got the genetics, you don't. And so don't think that just by piling up the gear that you're going to get better. In fact, most people I talk to, if they stay in that sweet spot, at 500 to 1,000 millis, they are the biggest they've ever been, the strongest they've ever been, the best they've ever felt. If they go beyond that, okay, if they dip below that, it's hard for them, okay, to get their maximum results. If they go over that, okay, they don't feel good. They don't perform as well, okay. All the things that you would think that by taking more gear would be better success is less success, less of a good feel, and more negative side effects, okay. Again, this isn't everybody. This is just what I gather from the people that I've talked to, the research that I've done. But these are legit cases. I'm not talking about pulling shit out of my ass and saying what I think this athlete's doing. I've talked to people, okay. I've researched things, okay. You know, and when I had a doctor who was taking certain dosages, I can speak from experience for myself, you know, and I've tried to push the envelope. It backfired. I didn't get better. I got worse. Okay. These guys that take regular tests and they think that tren is pretty much the same dosages have hurt themselves. Okay. 50 millis every other day is plenty. Okay. People that try to take 100 millis or 200 millis every other day don't always feel good, especially if they're 200 millis every other day. And people that go on a blast, going, I'm going to do a blast of 200 millis a week for 5 days, that's all I'm going to take as trend. It's going to be just like taking regular test. I'm just going to be tighter. They're out of their minds, okay? And they're going to learn the hard way, okay? Because you wake up with night sweats, as it is, right? And you dry out, and you don't always feel real good. And a lot of people have even told me, I had one guy who was super nice, right? And he wouldn't hurt a fly, you know? But then when he takes training, he wants to kill his family. Fair enough? So that's, and there's another one that halotest, that one's even worse as far as anger and stuff. People will a lot of times take it as a touch-up, hardener right before a contest, right? And that whole thing that Tiger Fitness was talking about with the 405 for 6 reps in prep on the bench. I've done that, okay? I've done 405 for a triple or for 6 reps in my prime in my 30s for 6 with no carbs and 1 to 3% body fat. And people go, how the hell do you do that? You know, just take it's hard work and take my vitamins and do what I'm supposed to do, right? Follow the protocol. And you know, I've been able to do that. I've hit 405 for 17 with the sling. Back to the day. Right now, freaking some days 365 is heavy, right? I didn't go past the 365 today for a single. Just wasn't feeling it today. I'll slowly get back up to being strong again. My knee's still messed up, right? So I can't push off well. So there's those types of factors. You know, you got to work through injuries. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. It's not always so black and white. But you know, certain things that I've studied. This athlete took this athlete took it, and have it from the horse's mouth, from watching their videos, or sitting down at a table with them, or over the phone, or whatever, and they tell me personally, if I hear it from this other person, I don't fucking listen to that shit. Oh, I'm a personal friend of this guy, and he was taking this. I can't trust that guy, okay? Unless I really, really know him, his character and his integrity, then maybe I'll take that. But I haven't even given you an example of that yet. Because I don't listen to those third parties, right? I listen to the ones who are in the fight. The prep coaches and what they put their athletes on. I talk to them. I watch their videos, okay? I listen to what these top athletes are taking. And it's not a lie because it's almost always like a freaking cookie cutter recipe, right? A few hundred millis of test, and a couple hundred millis of tren, and a couple hundred millis of mast, and maybe a little bit of A-bombs, maybe not, depending on the athlete. Some will take it all the way through, some will cut it out for 8 weeks out, some will take EC all the way up to 4 or 8 weeks out, and then switch her up for a different compound like tren and mast, right? It's all very, very similar deal, right? So the athletes that know what they're doing, or the follow-up prep coach know what they're doing, they get dry, they get hard, they get lean, they get dialed in, okay? And there was a safe way to do it, safer way to do it, and a not so safe way, okay? And when you can, the safe way to do it is stay all natural, right? And on top of that, even as a natural athlete, right, you can dry out by dehydrating, okay? Not healthy, not safe. But you know what? I went 2 days without water when I went to Mr. Washington. My attitude was I can fucking drink water after the show, so I don't need it right now, right? I can go 2 weeks or 4 weeks without carbs. I don't need it right now, okay? And I'm not talking about, that little window of really low carbs. I'm talking about eliminating carbs, right? For 2 to 4 weeks. Blood sugar goes way down. You fucking feel like shit. Whatever it takes to win. That was my mentality back in the day. So those are the types of things that top athletes take in bodybuilding. Now, that's not always the protocol for the other sports. They're not going to take a bunch of Winnie V and fucking Tren and shit like that when they're playing football and shit like that, and need to be hydrated and fucking, being dry and fucking dried out and fucking hammy. I've seen that too in football. Big ass dude we had in Central and fucking take off the line of scrimmage and leg locks up on him right away, right? And the coaches go, oh, God, come in, and they kind of knew, right? She goes, I the guys took a little supplements, right? And then I'm looking at my friends and I'm going, what's he looking at me for? What's he looking at? What's he talking about us for? That's what I tell him, right? That's what I'm thinking, right? And tell him maybe a couple close buddies. I'm not going to be too vocal about it. I'll be running fucking stairs and freaking valleys and all this other shit, right? But yeah, dude was crazy. He had a bunch of records. He was doing 800 plus, over 800 on squat, over 800 on deadlifting, over 5 or 6 on bench. And this is raw. This is no shirts, no suits, no nothing, right? He's just a beast. Okay, had his name across his lower back and tattooed out and everything, right? Just that one tattoo, right, where the belt did. And yeah, he was pretty amazing. But I'm just giving that as an example. He could have been on nothing, and he could have been, just dehydrated that day or something, right? That just happens. But when you're a big guy, everybody goes, oh, it's just supplements, right? It's always a cop out. It's always an assumption, but that's my little bit of 2 cents. Is basically the same thing, Be natural. If you're not gonna be natural, I get it. If you're a grown-ass man or woman, you've plateaued out. You want to take it to that next level. That's between you and God, right? It's between you and the Lord. And if you don't believe in God, well, that's just one less thing to check off your list of approval, right? Of pros and cons, risk to benefit, all that stuff. So get it in there. Make sure you can live with yourself. Make sure it's within your, ethics and morals and all that stuff. And if it's okay with it, and if you're okay with that, okay? And some people can take it, and some people can't. So if you're going to be a big baby, and you're going to be like, oh, my liver, or oh, my heart, people's liver sometimes just go up a little bit, or they want to do an extra test because it kind of detects something might be there. People freak out about that stuff, man. It's like, if you're going to be worried like that, you ain't going to have that worried mentality, don't fucking do it, man, because there's so many extra tests and stuff that the doctors like to run just to make sure that you're healthy, that if you're going to freak out about a little thing, you'll be a big baby about it, don't fucking do it, right? If you're not willing to die for your sport, well, then maybe you don't want to compete at that level, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Unless you're a professional athlete making millions of dollars in something anyways, it shouldn't be, beyond that. If it's not fun for you anymore, if it's not a hobby for you anymore, then don't take it to that next level. If you're going to just freak you out, right? But if you love it, you're fucking willing to die for it, you don't care, right? Other than that you're going to do it the safest way possible, right? And whatever happens, happens, and you got that mentality that, you're going to die anyways. We all got a birth date and a death date. We're all born with that, right? A birth certificate and a death certificate that's not signed off on yet, right? But I'm more worried about that dash that's between the birth date and the death date. What have I accomplished while I'm here? How many people have I helped? How many competitions I've won? I've been competitive in, right? How many records have I set? I have a different mentality there, and I'd rather die on the battlefield trying to achieve something than die from eating too many bonbons and watching too many movies, right? Although I do watch a lot of movies, it helps me train, right? It's part of my training. You know, I watch the top martial artists, and I've watched a lot of Van Damme and Arnold and John Cena and Rock movies, right, over the years, and just to kind of, that's kind of good training for being a superhero. But of course, you got to put it into real life as well. You got to go to the gym. You got to put the massive poundages. You have to take martial arts classes. You have to do those kinds of things. You can't just watch TV and do it, right? But you can use that as part of your training. Fair enough. And gets you in the zone, gets you in the mindset. And when you do the training, you learn the right technique, and now you look good doing it too. And that's what it's all about, man. For me, and it's for you, it's something different. If your goal is to live to be 100 years old, you got to study health like a motherfucker, right? You're not going to put anything in your body that you may deter from that. So those are the types of things that you need to ask yourself when you make that big boy or big girl decision. Okay, you put your pant legs on. You do your own. You change yourself, right? You take care of yourself, and so don't do what everybody else wants you to do and then blame them. Do what you want to do, and if you take a risk and it backfires on you, you got nobody to blame but yourself, okay? And if you've done it for the right reasons, you may not like the news, but you can be okay with that. They tell you you got a heart condition, right? Don't train heavy. Then you can either stop training heavy and reverse it if you can. If you can't, then you monitor it, right? Or you could say, fuck it. Either I get this fucking weight or I don't. And if I go out trying, then fine. Go big or go home, right? You know, like Will Smith talks about, he's going to win that thing on the treadmill. You're getting off first or I'm going to die. That's the mentality. If you have that, you're either going to get the weight or you're going to die, right? That's some people's mentality. Other people's, health and fitness, I'm okay with that. You better mom, better dad, better husband, better father, better employee, better business owner, right? So if you want to do it super safe and super careful and really err on that side of caution, more power to you. There's nothing wrong with that. You got my full support. I just want you guys to be happy, man. I want you to live life to the fullest and be as safe as possible about it, right? Make an educated decision, and that's all there is to it. And then you just fucking get high on life, right? This has been Showtime. Showtime Shred Fitness over here. Size, growth, get big. All right. You guys take care.